to Long Box Diving, where we pull comics out of the long box. So I have another history of an obscure character kind of discussion to go over today. So as I'm looking for an obscure character that I haven't heard about or that we've seen in the background and stuff, I've actually stumbled upon what I think is an interesting little tidbit and kind of cool story um, to go over. So I start off with Dr. Pylon. Now, Dr. Pylon is a pushover. We don't know a lot about him, other than that he's a doctor. He's rich. He's kind of like a techno sorcerer in training, sort of. But he had an object called the Hand of Tiamat, which is really cool. And I had no idea that Tiamat was in Marvel's universe at all. So that's really interesting. So I went on a little bit of a tangent here. Well, what is the Hand of Tiamat? The Hand of Tiamat, to me, feels a lot like the Hand of Vecna, which is something also in D&D, as is Tiamat. Tiamat also has like historical implications and connotations and et cetera, et cetera. But Tiamat's really famous for D&D. Hand of Vecna is also pretty famous in D&D, and it came from, I think, a book somebody wrote that involved Vecna, and they just got brought in. But this Hand of Tiamat is like a Marvel representation of the Hand of Vecna. So I think, from what I can tell, and it's really interesting because it has tattoos and points and sparks and spikes and indentations that if you can decode what it means, you go insane. If you can decode and decipher what the hand says, you go insane. And this is in 2099 Marvel, right? So I think that's Earth 928. So it's not Prime, right? It's not 616, but it is definitely a similar-ish world to what our Prime is. But the Hand of Tiamat in 2099 belongs to Tiamat. But this version is a glowing eye. They're part of the race called the Uncreated, which are basically demon radio forms. So it's demons that are radio waves. And if someone's able to decipher the hand, that actually like sends a signal for Tiamat to come and hunt them down and eat their brains, which is a cool monster. I kind of like that monster. This is a monster that travels by radio, right? And they feed on electricity. And so if you decipher the hand, it actually sends out a signal, which then calls Tiamat to travel over radio waves and then begin to eat your brains and the electricity inside. That's a cool monster. But I was curious because if Tiamat's in 928, is Tiamat also in 616? And yes, actually. So Tiamat's also in 616. And again, it's more of the historical implications of what Tiamat was with Babylon and etc. I think it's Babylon. I might be wrong about that. Yeah, I'm probably wrong about it. I don't think it's... Okay, whatever. I'm getting sidetracked. So Tiamat's also in 616, but it's more of old ancient legend of the past wars and ancient fights and how Tiamat used to be representative of the sea, given that Tiamat the dragon, and in 616 Tiamat the dragon, or Leviathan, and some somewhat biblical implications, somewhat ancient legends, pre Atlantis being destroyed and all that. So in terms of Marvel lore, it's old, but apparently this ties into Lilith, because Lilith was trapped inside Tiamat's body around the fall of Atlantis, which is interesting. And so when everything fell, Tiamat was slain, and Lilith was imprisoned inside of Tiamat. So Tiamat's body ended up settling near Greenland. Um, it is Babylon. Okay, we're good. Um, and so Lilith's trapped inside of the slain Tiamat, and Tiamat's body kind of settles near Greenland, where years and years and years and decades and centuries and millennia pass before people find Tiamat's body. A bunch of scientists open it up, and then here comes out Lilith, who's not a good person, and she kills all the scientists and then goes around on the world. And Lilith's a whole lot more famous than Pylon is or Tiamat is. So it's kind of outside of what I'm doing here. But that's an interesting little storyline of the Hand of Tiamat. It's such a cool idea. I love to see that in Marvel. I love the ties between Marvel here and D&D. That's really cool. And then the fact that Tiamat in 616 is actually a legendary mythical figure that ends up being kind of like a host to a more important figure. And it all ties together. So who knows? Maybe like in 616, Tiamat turns into a radio form. That'd be interesting. It all comes full circle. Who knows? But yeah, Dr. Pylon, a useless pushover who was tricked into deciphering the Hand of Tiamat. That's all for you in the long box. Bye.